see how we handle that. All right, fellow commissioner and analyst, Ara Nunez, welcome. We are going to transition into our big segment, today's main segment
Appreciate the invite.
of course, our of grading this draft and how these players or how these captains did and how where these players fell. So I'm going to explain to you guys right now how we're going to do this, and for the fans at home. Um, just so when they see our posts, they know our reasoning and they can come on and then they can pick fights with us when they know our reasoning behind everything. So here's how it's going to go. We're going to grade each player, or I apologize, each team's draft on a Likert scale of two. So 5 categories, 0 to 3. Now, let me just say, I don't want to see any zeros. If you really believe a zero is deserved, you're going to have to explain it because I think but the zero is just thrown in there. But I don't really want to see any. 3 being um, above average, 2 being average, meaning they did their job. They took the right person at the right time. That's a 2. And then 1 is maybe that person was drafted a little bit higher than they should have been. Yada yada yada, or below average. So just 2's average. They filled their glass. 3 is they overfilled their glass. 1 is they underfilled their glass, and 0 they didn't even fill their glass. But everyone has a glass full. So that's what I mean. So for the first category, we're going to do Galaxy player value. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to grade them, and then you guys have the floor as well. But I'll kind of lead the way just so I can get you in the right rhythm. Player value. Looking at the Galaxy in front of me, they got
Yeah, I
Matt
think
Short.
we should read the team out loud entirely so the viewers are refreshed.
Okay, I can even read the point of draft. Galaxy snagged Matt Short at first overall. They got Sean Bradshaw at 8th overall. Or I'm sorry, 16th overall, and then Luke Pratty in first pick in the 3rd round. Now I think that is a perfect 2. I think Connor Fu took the best available player for him at the perfect time. I don't think he took any player above where they should have been picked or below where they should have been picked. I would give, for player value, the Galaxy a 2. I'm locking it in. Mike, you're on the clock.
Reminder that's Connor Fu's team. I'm gonna give them a 3, and the reasoning for that is obviously, I mean, Matt Schuerk, he was the #1 pick last year, proved why he was. Sean was clearly the best player available when he got him at the. I think Sean went right around where he should have been, but he was by far the best player available at the time he was picked. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to Luke, who has really been transforming his body in the offseason, has lost a lot of weight, should be the best version of himself we've ever seen. And, he's already. I mean, we didn't see it last season because he obviously didn't get many minutes, but I think he already has a very unique skill set in terms of setting picks, rebounding and all that. And now that he's shed a lot of weight, he's going to be more nimble, more agile, have more stamina. I think Luke, being the first pick of the 3rd round, is absolutely validated based on that assessment. So I'm going to give him a 3.
But I want to reiterate, like picking by you giving them a 3, that means you're basically saying Luke is a 2nd round talent picked in the 3rd round. I want to. That is that what you
well,
believe?
I don't mean that. Well, no, I don't mean I don't think Luke's a 2nd round talent, but I mean, again, he was picked the first pick in the 3rd round. I think just Luke, I think he's a top tier 3rd round talent, or he should be with the way his body is. So I think Connor got a great 1st round talent in Matt Stewart, a great 2nd round pick in Sean, and a great 3rd round pick in Luke. That's what my analysis is based
like
on.
my analysis is pretty much the same, but I gave him a 2 because he did what he should have done. I thought he took the best available player at the best time, and that's why I gave him a 2. I don't think he got any big steals, which is why I'm not giving him a 3. If that's
Yes.
But Arv, go ahead, take us away.
I believe I would also agree with you, Andrew, with a 2.
Are we locking it in?
I think Matt Stewart was obviously the best player out there, but then Sean was a really good pick. I mean, he does show a lot of. He has some like defensive skills. He could clamp in the zone. Obviously, he doesn't have much of the height, but you got Stewart to crash. And then you also have Luke. Luke is, I mean, he'll sub out there. I mean, I know we didn't see it much last year, but he will like try his best. And I know he's been working out and he's pretty dedicated to his to basketball and also his own health, which is great to see. So I think they have a
Absolutely.
solid team.
Now we'll go to the Hatamotos. That's Jack Curtin being captain, Carter Brzezinski, Cole Chingris, Nick Germano. I'll read the picks. Sorry. So first round, pick 2, Carter Brzezinski. Round 2, pick 7, Cole Chingris. Round 3, pick 2, Nick Germano. Again, I think he got Carter Brzezinski too high, but got Cole Chingris as a steal in round 2, and I think he took Nick Germano in the right spot. So I'm also going to give them a 2. I think Carter Brzezinski was drafted a bit too high, but I think Cole Chingris was drafted a bit too low. I think that evens out, and he just remained that score, getting Nick Germano at the second overall pick in round 3. So 2, locking it in.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. I mean, it's not a slight to Carter. Like, we all know Carter is he led the league in blocks. You know, he's obviously just naturally going to clog the paint. But that being said, I think there were just more talented players available, and arguably even a better big available. And Nick Zelanskis, maybe I'm biased, but regardless, yeah, Cole went right where he should have went, where he should have gone. You know, he was the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, and Nick Germano was by far the best defensive player available where he was, and that's really what Jack Curtin wanted his team's identity to be, his defense based on his draft. So I'd also go with the 2.
Okay.
I also go with it 2, but I'm gonna disagree a little bit on your reasoning. I think Carter was a pretty solid pick for second overall. I mean, we're not very tall, I say overall as a league, and Carter is by far one of the tallest kids. Which I don't know. It's a really big factor. Yes, I would say Nick Zelanskis is probably more that athletic type, which you could arguably say he could have went second. But Carter, I think he could do some damage. I've seen him improve. I've seen him get more aware of his baseball IQ. I'm sorry, basketball IQ. So I feel like he's going to be a bigger threat this year than he was last year.
All right, I respect it. 1 second, my dog needs to get on the bed. Come here. Sorry, cut that out. So, all right, that brings us to the Billies. The Billies drafted Nick Zelanskis at 3rd overall in the first round, or 3rd overall. Drafted Andrew Regan 6th in the 2nd round, and then Michael Goldsmith 3rd in the 3rd round. So I guess I'll try to make this quick. Again, I'd give this a 2. I think Nick Zelanskis is a great pick at 3. He's a top 3 pick. I think if Nick's fell to 4, I would maybe give that a 3. But I think Ryan picked, where he wanted to pick, and everyone kind of fell where they should have. So I'd give that a 2.
Yeah, I mean, I know the most exciting, but I'd also give us a 2 yet again. Or I shouldn't say us, I said the Billies. But Nick Zelanskis was absolutely the best available player when he picked him. You went right around where you should have won. If anyone went early, it was probably me, but maybe I went 2 or 3 picks ahead of where I should have in the 3rd round. So I really think he got everyone right around where they should have gone, and Nick Zelanskis probably shouldn't have even fallen to the 3rd pick in the draft. So I'd give it a
2. I'd also agree with the 2. I mean, Nick Zelanskis, I would say, is probably definitely a top 3 talent. So.
God, my dog's so annoying. Sorry.
Ryan definitely has to take that. And I mean, he didn't have much leeway. I mean, he honestly just chose the best player out there, and that was you 2 guys. So it seems like you guys have the little commissioner team again.
I don't think I've ever been on a team without another commissioner. Corrupt.
Yeah.
Okay. Spartans. And for those who don't know, that's led by Nick Resendez, who scored Sam Holland at 4. Dan Gerges at 5 in the 2nd round, and then Tyler Beraldi at 4th in the 3rd round. I'm gonna give this a 1. I'm sorry. I think Sam Holland is great, but I do think he should have gone later in the first round, maybe the beginning of the second. It's not a it's it's I'm not trying to slight Sam Holland. He's a great talent and definitely in the upper echelon of talent in the league. But I think 4 is a little bit crazy considering there is Ian and Costa both fell below him. Um, and I think Dan Gerges is a big question mark, so I can't really call that a good pick yet. You know what I mean? And then I think Tyler Beraldi went where he should have, so I'm going to lock in as a 1.
Yeah, I also was going to go to a 1 for similar reasons. I mean, Sam is one of the most competitive, high energy, high effort ASL players we have. He brings a lot of great aspects to the table on offensive defense. He just simply should not have been the number 4 pick in the draft. I think most were caught off guard by that, and it's not a slight at him. It's more just a compliment to the other players that were available at the time. Dan Gerges, again, as I said earlier, great talent, but he's probably best. He showed he's best suited. His best season he's ever had coming off the bench. He's probably best suited as a top tier 4th man rather than an average 2nd round pick. So and honestly, he could have probably took him a little. There were some other great options when he took him. I think in terms of value wise, I think Tyler Beraldi was the Spartans' best value pick in terms of probably should have gone. He probably should have gone ahead of me realistically in a few picks where he did. But oh god. But yeah, no, I mean just because you picked a 3rd round pick in the right spot doesn't mean that you should get anything higher than a 1.
No, I agree with you guys. Sam's a great player, I do believe, but I mean, you see how Ian did fall a little bit more than I expected, or also, like you said, Costa. And surprisingly, I mean, a lot of you guys are like downing on Trot. I don't know.
I couldn't agree more. I can't believe Trot fell that low too.
Yeah, so I'm pretty shocked. So I feel like I don't deny Sam being a bad player, I just think there are some players that should have went a little bit before him.
Yeah,
I'm not disregarding his talent.
Then we have the Hellkites, led by Rishi Srinivasan, who picked up 5th pick in the 1st round, Dennis Travares, Alex Trottier 2nd in round 3, and then in the 3rd round got Pete Stylos. I'm going to give this a 2. I think he got the right skilled players at the right time. I think Dennis should have gone for his 2nd round pick, and Trot should have been his 1st round pick. But I think I just kind of count that as a wash, cancel each other out. Didn't really go above and beyond, but didn't really make any too early picks or too late picks. So I'm locking in a 2 for them.
Yeah, as funny as it is, I'm gonna give him a 2 as well. But I think if Rishi had gotten Alex Trottier with the 5th pick in the draft and Dennis with the 10th or the 12th, wherever he got Dennis, I probably would have given him a 3. But just because we're doing it purely off you drafted a player where in comparison to who was left in terms of value, that I'd say he did it too. And I liked taking Pete Stylos over his counterpart at the 2nd to last pick. So
I also agree with it too. I mean, if there was a 1.5, I give him a 1.5. The reasoning is just because I know Rishi. I know he's really big on defense, so that's what he was looking for. So I get to see. I understand the Dennis Tavares pick in round 1. I just don't see a lot of shooting, and I feel like there were better shooters that you could have picked. Maybe I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just interesting, but I'll just give him a 2. I think the fact they got Trot and Dennis really sets him up pretty well.
All right, we'll go over to the pack. I think the pack, when it comes to player value, there's no other correct answer other than a 3. I think this is. I mean, we'll have to go through everyone. Like we have two more teams to go through, but I think this is when in terms of just player value, I don't think there's going to be a team that tops the pack.
Do you want to just go through the pack and where they drafted everyone?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for keeping me in check, Mike.
Of course.
The pack, led by Alex Pissakrita, scooped up Ian Chowdhury in the first round at pick 6, Arvin Nunez in the third pick in the second round, and then Owen Bollinger with the sixth pick in the third round. I mean, I think
Yeah,
you don't get better
yeah.
player value there.
I really don't have much to add on what you said, but I'd also give him a three. Just Ian Chowdhury, the sixth overall pick, kind of speaks for itself. I think
I think we're gonna have a very fun year with the pack. That's all I'm saying. I'm giving ourselves a three. That was Pissy. Pissy drafted well. That's my captain right there. So I'm a little biased, but Ian with the sixth pick, I can't believe you fell a little bit like that. I mean, it's a blessing. I guess it's a blessing for us, but
And you guys are
and then get
reunited.
scooped up. Yeah, me and Ian get to be reunited. Me and Pissy are reunited in a different sport now. And then I had a couple classes with Owen in high school, so we're
That
somewhat
counts. That
reunited
counts.
now.
That counts.
The team chemistry is up. The team chemistry is up.
All
That's all we
right.
do.
Well, I want to make this more efficiently for our viewers, so let's kind of put the pedal to the metal here. Vikings, okay? That's led by Colin Kirkpatrick. Scooped up, as we already touched, AJ Clark, seventh overall pick. In the second round, he got George Kamboris at pick 4. And then in the third round, he got Ian Hale at pick 5. I think this is a 2. I think he took the best players available for him at the time. Again, nothing crazy, but he didn't have any like missed picks, so I'm locking in a 2.
Yep, I'm going two as well. I think he literally got everyone right where they should have gone, realistically. So I'm also going to go with the two.
Yeah, I think it was pretty solid. I'm not hating on my boy George, but I think Andrew should have went a little bit higher on that.
So you give them a 1?
I mean, he had to pick Ian there. I mean, also Ian would have cried. No offense. But I mean, AJ Clark was a solid pick because he's a tough player. But I don't know. I'd say I'll give him a 1
Okay,
because
1.
I think I don't know. I think Andrew. I see Andrew as a better shooter than George. So I think that's where they're lacking because I feel like Collins their only shooter on that team.
All right, we're gonna go to the Pride. Eighth overall pick, Pat Archambault. Round 2, pick 1, Kostas Anzopoulos. Round 3, pick 8, Stephen Troy. And this is obviously led by Stephen Shaw.
Let me go. I'll say 3. I mean, the fact that he got Costa,
I think I might give him a 3 too. I think I'm gonna give him a 3.
dude, it's pretty.
Yeah, yeah, you can't really argue with that.
3.
I think Costa's what did it for them. I mean, Pat's a great player, great point guard. He's broken ankles before. I know he mixed me up a little bit, and others. I'll say that. And then Costa was just lights out. He can be lights out sometimes. That can be a big help with Steve. And Steve
All right.
there.
Now we don't need to really read. I don't need to read off any of the picks. You should have the teams in front of you or in mind. Again, let's try to go through this. Now we're going to go well-roundedness. So you don't even really consider player value anymore. Is this team well-rounded? Do they have a little bit of everything? Galaxy, I'm going to look at them in front of me. Yeah, I think they're a very well-rounded team. I think the only thing they're lacking is that like definitive big man. And if they had that definitive big man, I could give them a 3. But because they don't have someone over like 6'2", which is it's hard to find. It's hard to find that. But I'm going to give them a 2 for well-roundedness.
I just gave him a 3 in player value. I'm actually going to give him a 1 in well-roundedness because Connor Fu, again, he's going into a team where he's the only player that is capable of making a 3 on that team, and that burned them last season, and that could come back to haunt them again this season. I don't think they have, I think all the players that he drafted have very similar skill sets in a certain way. Obviously, there's variations, but I don't think any of them really are going to stretch the floor, and that's really that's going to burn them.
All
I
right.
disagree with you. I honestly think I honestly will give him a 3 because I feel like Schuer, he had a tough shooting season last season, but before he's been really good. I mean, if he finds his shot, he can help Connor a lot. Obviously, Connor loves taking those deep threes and like just threes in general. But Sean is a pretty good crasher, even though he's small. He loves to box out. I mean, and then you got Luke off the bench. I mean, he can just set the screen because Connor loves to jab step back and then shoot that. So I think Connor got what he wanted. I think
I'm noticing now, not to interrupt you, that I should have put the total in grade on the other as rows and not columns, but I'll worry about that later. Hanamoto's. I'm gonna go. Does anyone know if Jack Curtin can shoot?
I've never seen him play. I just know he's a D1 athlete, so it's pretty.
I
All
think
right.
he can. I think he can hit a shot, but it's not a specialty. Kind of like an.
All right. You know what? I'll give him a 3. I'll give him a 2 because I think he has 2 big men in Cole and Carter, and if he's not like a sharp, I think he can use more of like a wing between one of those players. I think you either have Cole or you have Carter. You don't have both of them. That's definitely like a high skill team, but when it comes to well-roundedness, I don't think it's anything special. I think it's a good team, but again, it's not transcendent. So 2.
I'm going 1 again. I think Jack is really. I mean, obviously Carter's going to get his points in the paint, but I think Jack. I feel like they're going to kind of get the Mateys of last season where they play 50-minute games every week because they're incredible at defense and can't score the ball. Jack is really going to have to put that team on his back offensively, but they're also going to be incredibly difficult to score on. So that being said, I'll go with a 1.
Okay.
I'm going with a 2. I think they have a pretty solid defensive team. They have a few bigs. I'm not too sure how scoring's going to go about, so that's why I'm not. But I feel like maybe they're not.
Wait, I'm sorry, R. What did you give them? I'm sorry, I was editing the 2. Thank you.
Yeah, because I don't know about them scoring, maybe the 3, but mid range or maybe in the paint, they'll probably be pretty good.
All right, Billy's well-roundedness. Call me biased. I think I'm going to give us a 3. I think we have someone like Ryan who could shoot, who can clog the paint. You have a playmaker, point guard, and myself. And obviously you have Zelanskis, who's the big man, can eat boards, a great defensive presence, and you have a wing in Michael who can, do the kick out 3. I think that is a textbook, well-rounded team.
Yeah, I'm going to give us a 2. I think that, at times there's gonna be times when Ryan, Andrew, you bring a lot of great stuff to the game. You're not known for your shooting, and there could be times when Ryan is the only one who could stretch the floor when you 3 are out there. I do think the team does have a little bit of everything, but isn't perfectly well-rounded in terms of there's not always going to be a lot of ways to stretch the floor, so I'm going to go with a 2.
What about you? You're a shooter.
Right.
Or you want to go?
Yeah, why don't I go? I will also say 2. I mean, I think you guys have a solid team. But he does give a good point. Like, I feel like the only if you were to, because yes, I think Mike will get minutes. Obviously, less than you guys because you guys are the starters. But I don't see much shooting out of you 3. But I do see some solid offensive plays and probably like some pick and rolls and passes. So it's pretty solid, but I just you probably lack a little bit in the shooting part.
All right. Next we will go to the Spartans. In terms of well-roundedness, again, I don't see that definitive big man. I think they're a very skilled team, but I don't see a definitive big man. So I gotta give it a 2. Sam Holland is a great defensive presence, but other than that, I don't see a ton of defense. So I'm bleeding between 1 or 2. But I'll stick at 2 for now. I'm locking in 2.
I think Sam Holland is that definitive big man that you're talking about. I think Nick Resendez can be that big man at times if he needs to be. I'm going to give him a 3. I mean, having Nick Resendez, Sam Holland, and Dan Gerges on the floor at the same time with Tyler Beraldi coming in to play point guard, that team is at all times will be able to do a little bit of everything, and that's what being well-rounded is, and I'll give him a 3 for that.
I gotta agree with Mike. I mean, I think actually I'm gonna change my answer to 2. I think they have a solid team. I think they have a little bit of everything, but not too much of everything, I would say. I think, yeah, they have like one guy to do one thing, but it's not cohesive enough. I don't see it as one team. I see it as individual players. So I'm going to say 2.
Got it. Respectful. Now we have the Hellkites, Rishi Srinivasan. I'm going to give this team a 2 as well. I think the only thing they're really lacking is a definitive shooter. Now, I know Alex Trottier can hit a 3. I've seen Dennis hit a few threes. And even though people shit on Rishi for not being able to shoot, I'm sure he can hit a few threes. One thing they lack is just that definitive three-point shooter, and for that reason, I'm giving him a 2.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 2 as well. Granted, they don't have like necessarily a textbook shooter on their team, but I think Rishi, Dennis, and Alex all have very unique skill sets, and I think they're going to complement each other well, and I'm going to go with the 2 for that.
I'm also going to give them a 2. I think they're great defensively. I think that's like what puts them out on top. I bet others are thinking, oh, they're probably not that because they're a little small and probably not that good. But I think they're really good defensively, but the shooting is what they lack of. So I'm sticking with 2.
All right, the pack: Piscicrita, Chowdhury, Nunez, Bollinger. When it comes to well-roundedness, I'm gonna give you guys respectfully a 1. I don't see that big man. You guys are unfortunately height challenged. If you want to talk about skill or depth or player value, I will totally sing your ears off about how good you guys are in that sense. But unfortunately, in terms of well-roundedness, I don't see it. Arvin, you are going to have to really bear the shooting this year, and I don't see a definitive big man. So for that reason, I have to put you guys at a 1.
I'm also going with the 1, just because I think I actually do think that the Pack are going to be a pretty good team, but they don't have anyone who when they're open and shooting a 3, you don't necessarily think it's going to be going in. And I don't know what's going to happen when teams try to clog the paint on that team. And I just think a lot of not a lot of just differences in skill sets. So I'm going to go with the 1, but I do think they're going to be a good team.
I'm gonna go with a 2. I think our biggest weakness is the height. We aren't that tall. There are some big guys out there, so the boards will be tough. We do have to box out a lot. But I think the Ian and Pissy combo is gonna shock a lot of people because they both are just crazy at finishing and they can just find each other. And yeah, maybe I'll be out there open with people crashing, but I think they got something big for us this season.
All right, the Vikings. Looking at the Vikings roster, I'm going to go with a 3. They have everything. They have the shooting in Colin, like the defensive presence in all the players. You have the finishing in AJ. I mean, I think that is as textbook well-rounded as you can get. So putting in as a 3.
I agree, and I think the Vikings are actually the most well-rounded team in the league by a considerable amount for all the reasons you just said. So I'm not really listening to repeat it, but I think they're an easy 3.
Yeah, I think so. I think you guys said it better. I don't know what I could say. Just they're very well-rounded. They check every box. So pretty good team.
All right, last but not least, the Pride. I'm going to give them a 2. I think they lost their big man last year. Not to say that Steven can't play every position, but they have the great point guard in Pat. They have like the great offensive weapon in Costa. Shooting can finish, and the great offensive weapon with Steven. Not to say that these guys lack defensively, but they definitely lack that body in the paint, like we had mentioned earlier in this episode, Mike. that AJ is now absent, and for that reason, I have to give them a 2.
I'm giving him a 3. You got a textbook point guard in Pat Archambault, a textbook shooting guard, small forward in Costa, and a textbook power forward in Stephen Shaw, and Stephen Troy's on the
You
team.
would consider Stephen Shaw a textbook power forward?
No, well, not like an old school textbook power. He's kind of like, he's like a Jason Tate. Like power forwards are now, I consider like a Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant archetype is more of a textbook power forward in today's day. So for that, yeah, I'd say so. And I just think, yeah, and I think he is Stephen Shaw is the big man. He's also the main scorer, but he's the big man, kind of similar to Nick
But
Resendez.
Steven doesn't play like that. Steven likes to
No.
take it from the key. He likes to
Guards the
dribble.
paint.
He likes to fool
He's like a
around.
shooting guard, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
He attacks the basket. He guards the paint. I mean,
But when he puts up that shot from beyond the arc, because
It
he's
was
an incredible
mostly
shooter,
AJ last
there is
year.
no one to grab that rebound on that team anymore. When AJ would just sit there, grab it, and fuel second chance points, that is gone.
Costa's not a big body, but he's pretty tall for a shooting guard. He's an oversized guard.
We're not saying Costa is incapable of rebounding,
But
but
I
we're just
just-
saying that like there is no more big man.
But when Costa's shooting a 3, Stephen Shaw is also he doesn't get any attention for it. He's a great rebounder. He's naturally big. I'm sure he'd be a guard in like an official like high school AAU college, but in our league he's a forward and he's
Obviously, but they're really but like when it comes to Carter and Steven or Carter and Costa, an actual big man versus your textbook power forward going up to get that rebound, Carter's gonna get it. And they don't have like where if you were to like put like Nick Zelanskis up, it's more of a 50-50 ball. That's my opinion. But are you locked in a 3?
I'm giving him a 2. I like them losing AJ was pretty big. He's like even though like Steve Shaw, but it was a very big. It was a team effort last year and the past couple of years, and so them losing that is crazy because I remember playing against them. They were a tough team, very tough.
Yeah, they are a tough team. All right, now it comes to skill. For the Galaxy, I think they are one of the more skilled teams in the entire league. With that said, I'm giving them a 3.
I also give him a 3. I mean, just Connor Fu, Matt Schuer, it's this terrifying duo. Sean's gonna bring exactly what they need as the second round pick, and obviously Luke, we got to see what Luke's gonna bring with the slimmed down version of himself. But I think,
even like a fat Luke, is still good.
I also say 3 as well.
Oh, we get is this our third clean sweep? I love it. Arvin, do you want to unpack that or just leave it at that?
I mean, you just look at the names and you already know how they play. They're very great players. I mean, well, I don't know what else to say.
All right. Hatamoto's. Again, Jack Hurton is such a big question mark. So I'll go 2. I don't really know what else to say about that.
yeah, I'll go with the 2. I mean, they definitely don't lack skill, but like it doesn't like they don't jump off the page as like, oh, this team's really talented. But yeah, we'll see what rookie Jack Hurton brings.
I will also go with 2. I know Carter is pretty solid, and Cole Chingris get his stamina up and just keep playing like a dog like he did towards the end of the season last year. I mean, they're a pretty skilled team. I hear great things about Jack. I don't really know anything. I've never really seen him play basketball, so it is a big question mark.
Billy's, again, no one like. There's no transcendent talent on the team, but I don't think there's going to be any huge liabilities. So with that said, I'm going to say 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo your statement. Is a 2 as well. Just nothing. Again, not really talent's gonna jump off the page either. Oh, that's a great talent, or oh, that's a horrendous talent. So I'll go with the 2.
I'll also go with the 2. I feel like not saying that there's nothing special about the team, but just like I don't know, just nothing just seems eye popping.
Spartans. In terms of talent, I might go 3. I think this is definitely one of the upper echelon teams in terms of just like pure skill. This is kind of like a Stampede 2.0. Like it's a very like every guy can respectfully pull his weight, and every guy can impact the game incredibly well in different ways. So I'm gonna say three.
I'm gonna say two, just because I do think they have a lot of players to bring a lot to the table. But I think, other than their captain, Sam, Dan, and Tyler are all pretty one-dimensional players, and they excel at what they excel at. But I don't think they're just about. I don't think they have a lot of versatile talent on that team. So
I'm also go with it too. I think they have great, solid players. I think they're all pretty good. Just the thing is, I just don't see them mixing together pretty well. That's my one issue. Team chem.
You got to say that for overall, Arv. This is just skill.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, yes. Then we have the Hellkites. In terms of pure skill, I'm gonna say two. I'm not super impressed with every single member of the team individually, so I'm gonna say two.
yeah, I mean, this is my third two in a row, but I'm a fourth even. But I think
Well, this is good. I mean,
I think this league is just. I just want to say, I think skill wise, this league is incredibly balanced. I don't even know if we're gonna have anyone. Just looking at the roster right now, but I think it's a very well balanced league, and really, it's anyone's. It's gonna be anyone's for the taking.
all right.
I'm gonna disagree with you guys. I think three. I feel like their defensive team is just impeccable. What like Dennis Tavares, Depoy, obviously he played amazing. Rishi, I know he's very well known for his defense. So I mean, like that's Clamper right there, and then Try is a big guy, and he can definitely play some defense, but he's more of that like finisher bat. He got like finisher badge, so I don't know. I feel like it just encapsulates a lot. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with three.
All right. The Pack. Again, this is arguably a two captain caliber team. I think it kind of writes itself. Three.
Pack. Yeah, I'm going with the three as well. I mean, God, you got Alex and Ian and then Arvin to complement the two of them. That is.
And even Owen is a great utility guy
Yeah.
coming off
Yeah,
the bench
Owen's
as
gonna be
well.
great. Owen's very serviceable off the bench. So yeah, three.
What I'm really happy about Owen though, if I can add, is I'm
Please.
also saying three, but I think Pissy like used Owen well a little bit. I mean, Owen's not that great with is not, let's say, great amongst most of the league. He's probably down in like the third round players, but he like exploited like his strengths. You know, he's able to jump, and the way like rebounding, he like helped out a lot. Like he didn't really score much, but he was able to exploit that, which I'm really like hyped about. Is that like we have Pissy to help us with him. You know.
All right, cool. With the Vikings, in terms of pure skill, I'm gonna say probably a two. I think they're a great team, and I think they're going to be a good, consistent team, and I think everyone's going to pull their weight equally. Nothing much else left to say.
Arvin, you go first. Look, come back to me.
Skill wise, I'm debating between two and three. But I'm gonna give him a three. I think Colin, obviously, great player. AJ, solid in paint guy. Got to give him all the respect. George Kamboris, he can definitely play some defense. He's not like the best shooter. He could hit some mid rangers. So I feel like obviously the 3-point line, it's not his thing. But I think they're all pretty skilled and.
I know we got to pick up the pace, but Arvin, you've seen George play more than most players in the league. Do you have a ASL player comparison for George?
ASL player comparison.
If you don't, I don't put him in the spot, and if it's going to take some time, then it's fine. I'll just get.
Why don't we like keep going, and I'll keep it in the back of my mind.
All right, with that in mind, I'll give them a two. Just very, they'll stack up with the rest of the league fine, talent wise, but Colin might. There's going to be times that Colin might have to put them on his back offensively, but I'll give him a 2.
All right, I'll try to shoot through this. Doesn't need a ton of explanation. Prize of 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Arvin, you concur?
Yeah.
All right, a lot of sweeps. All right, depth. I think this is big.
This is going to be a versus.
I think when it comes to Galaxy, I think Connor Fu's biggest concern was going to be his lack of depth, even though I think he scored a pretty in-depth team. And with that said, I'm going to give them a 3.
Yep, I gave them a 3 in player value, and I'm going to give that to them in depth as well for the same reason. I think, they got Sean late in the second and Luke early in the first, and that's just dangerous, and that's a great back end of the team. They're top heavy, but their back end is going to pull their weight.
I also agree with them being a 3. I think it's a great team.
All right, the Hanamotos. I'm going to give these guys a 2. I do consider their starting lineup to be their whole lineup to be pretty in depth. But it's when you consider depth, you have to consider a lot of the well-roundedness and the skill. And just because I don't think they're popping off the page with either of those, I'm just going to give them a 2. They're definitely not a shallow team, but they're not a very deep team.
I mean, I'm definitely closer to a 1 than I am to a 3, but I'm going to give them a 2 just because, for everything you just said. But I really don't. They're not I don't know. They're gonna have to be a pretty top heavy team as well. But Cole and Nick will pull their weight there a 2.
I also concur with you guys. I also say 2.
All right. Billy's, again, considering everything, I'd give us a 2 as well. I don't think I don't think depth is going to be an issue for us, but I don't think it's going to be a big asset for us. So with that said, I'm giving us a 2.
Yep, I'm just going to concur with you. Pick up the pace here. I have 2 for the exact same reasons. I don't have much to add to that.
Also say 2.
All right.
Sweet.
The Spartans, let me look at their thing right now. Yeah, they have a very in-depth team. I think Dan Gerges is really going to be that question mark to see how he handles a starting role again this year. But I'll give them I might regret this, but I think I'm going to give him a 3.
I disagree. I think they're 2. I don't think anything jumps out about them. I think if Dan was their 4th man, then that's
yeah.
If Dan as a starter, Tyler is a 4th. Tyler's a good 4th man, but he's where he belongs. They're 2. Nothing crazy about him.
Yeah, I also got to give him a 2. I think that what really was the big part about depth is just that 4th man, and I don't see it giving that leap to 3.
All right, with the Hellkites, I'm going to give them a 2. I think getting Pisacreta as your second round pick is a big steal. But I don't know why I said I must have passed Pisacreta. I looked at it. Yeah, Trottier, thank you. I'll just leave it at that too. Nothing crazy, but nothing.
Whatever order Trottier and Dennis were drafted in, that is not a top heavy team. All 3 of them can contribute. Pete off the bench, we'll see what happens with his finger, but he can, he plays defense, he hustles. That's a 3 for me.
I'm also gonna give him a 2. I think they have a solid team. We'll see what happens.
All right, the Pack. Again, they have good player value. They have good skill. I think that reeks depth. So I'm going to say 3.
I'm giving them a 2. I think they're very well rounded, but I don't.
No, you don't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't mean
That's the one thing that sucks about the Pack. Their well-roundedness.
Well, sorry. I don't mean when I say well-rounded, I meant 2 different things. But when I was grading them, that they don't have a variety of different skill sets, but I think they have. I should have said they're just not a top-heavy team. That was probably more what I meant. I think that everyone on that team can contribute. Even Owen Bullinger, who was the 3rd to last pick, he's going to bring something to the table, but it doesn't jump off the page for me. I'm giving him a 2.
I disagree with you, Mike. I think we have a great team, and I'm give ourselves a 3. I think We each can, because I know, I mean, you guys played with me before, so you know I'm working on the stamina. It's a big thing for me. But I'm confident Owen, if he ever has to step in, I'm confident with him playing for a few minutes or so, whenever he be, and just running up the court.
All right, with the Vikings, this is going to sound pretty mean. I'm going to give them a 1 for depth. I don't know much about George. As much as I think AJ was a great utility guy to complement Colin, I just don't. When we're talking about the most in-depth teams in the ASL this year, I don't even think anyone will talk about the Vikings, and for that reason, I think it's a below-average team when it comes into depth. I'm going to give them a 1.
Yeah, it's funny because I liked every selection they made when they got it. As I said, I thought they were well-rounded by the definition we used earlier. I gave them a 3 for that. I'm also giving them a 1. Yeah, I mean, it's not even a slight to Ian. Like Ian was right off the bench last year, but nothing. I think it's they're noticeably one of the more captain-dependent teams in the league.
Mhm.
I'll agree with you with them being more captain dependent, but I'm gonna change that number to a 2. Uh, I think Nick Germano off the bench is pretty solid. I mean, you just gotta.
It's going to be Ian Hale off the bench for Vikings.
Oh, dude. Sorry, Ian.
Does that
Yeah,
drop to 1 for you?
Does that drop it to 1?
sorry. I don't have my glasses on. That's why I can't see. But no, I still have confidence in Ian. He was my old teammate. I still think he does give a lot of heart, and he definitely has stepped up over the years in the ASL. So I think he's getting into. I think he's earned the respect where I think he brings the team to have the depth.
All right, with the Pride, I'm going to give them a 2. I think they're a high skill team. I think they're a well-rounded team. But I wouldn't consider them a super in-depth team, but I wouldn't consider them a shallow team either.
Yeah, I've given a Pride a 3 to everything to this point. In terms of depth, I'm going to give them a 2. I don't think they're. Yeah, it's just not really. It's just not crazy good or not crazy bad. In terms of depth wise, they're right where they should be.
I gotta agree. This is too. There's not much what they could do with this defense, anyways.
All right.
Add,
Yep.
back to you, Michael, about your question to me. The ASL comparison of George?
Mhm.
I'd probably say like a bigger Sean Bradshaw.
Interesting.
I'd say
I can
like
see that.
you can play some defense in the mid range. He's like that's his spot. The three is a little shaky. I think that resembles Sean.
All right. Now this is overall. This is in a vacuum. Everything needs to be considered. Intangibles, attendance, chemistry, consistency, the player value while running the skill depth, like that's also considered. Like you need to paint the whole picture. Do you think this team is going to be an average team in a 2, a below average team in a 1, or an above average team in a 3? With the Galaxies, I'm going to consider them an average team. I think they're going to see a lot of success. I think they'll see they'll have some bumps in the road as well, but I'm going to call them a 2. I think they'll be an average to a good team.
I'm going to give them a 3. I think they really. I think this is a championship contender. I think this is Connor Foo's best chance to win a title. Him and Sherrick are going to try to league apart, and they have the complementary pieces to back them up. I'm going to give them a 3.
I'm also going to give him a 3. I also think Connor Foos has something to prove after last year with an early exit in the playoffs. I think he's going to come back looking for vengeance. So it's going to be it's going to be great watching them play.
All right. This Jack Curtin being a big question mark, so take my suggestion with a grain of salt, but I'm going to call this team a 1. I don't see I don't see a lot of scoring outlets on this team other than Jack, and I don't even know if Jack's a scorer. I heard he is, but I've never seen it. So if they're having trouble scoring, I feel like that might come and bite them in the ass. So for that reason, I'm going to give them a 1.
I'm gonna give them a 2. I think there's a great chance that this, as I said earlier, I'm gonna repeat myself. I think this is a good chance that they have the 8th of 8 offensive team and then one of the best defensive team in the league. I think it's going to even itself out. I think they're going to have a lot of long games, but they have some athletes on that team. I think they're very average ASL team, and for that reason, I'll give them a 2.
I'm gonna give him a 2. I think they just the height is what brings them up, and because if I'm looking at their conference, I mean, the Hellkites and also Vikings are somewhat of a smaller team. Not really, but I feel like they got the height over them, so I think that'll help them throughout the season. When the season comes along.
All right, we'll go to the Billies again. Maybe I'm biased, but I don't think I am. You're talking about a team that has chemistry. A lot of us have played together. We show up, which is huge. I think this is going to be a good team, and I'm going to say 3.
I'm going to give us a 2. I mean, I don't think there's anything that the Billies lack. I do think there's going to be times that we're a very top-heavy team, as it kind of was being on the Swarm, but definitely, I'd say closer to a 3 than a 2, but I'm going to go with a 2, probably upper middle of the pack team.
Perfect. Evens each other. Well, we evened each other out.
I'll say 3 actually, because you guys have won a chip, Dad bods. I mean, against Charybdis.
And instead of
your
Luke,
head ass.
Yeah. Chill. So I think you guys have. I mean, Mike and Ryan has been playing forever, and Ryan and Andrew, you guys have played for a few seasons. So I think the team chem, and obviously you played with Nick before his injury, but I think you guys will get along well, and that's what honestly I'd say ASL works better. Like the team chemistry is huge for ASL. Just getting along, knowing what they're doing, it
being on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, Spartans. I'm going to give Nick Resendez the benefit of the doubt. If Nick Resendez shows up week after week like he did on the last week of last year, I'm going to give this team a 2, maybe 3. But I don't know what Nick Resendez I'm going to get. So for that reason, I'm going to have to say 2.
I'm giving him a 1. I really think there's going to be this team. I think Nick Resendez is going to be the best version of himself throughout the season. This isn't even a slight at Nick. I think he took some players earlier when they should have gone, and I don't think they're a bad ASL team, but I do think they'll be below average, and I hate to see it, but they could miss the playoffs again.
All right.
I gotta agree with you, Mike. I mean, looking there's you just gotta look at the conferences, and one team's got to go, and I don't know, just looking at them, looking at all the teams, I just feel like they might be a team to be going home this year.
All right. Now we have the Hellkites. I think this is going to be an average to above average team. I don't think they're going to be first in their conference, but I don't think they're going to be last. So for that reason, I'm going to give them a 2.
Yep, same reasons you said. I'm going to go with 2. Nothing really to add to that. I think they're going to be very middle of the pack. It wouldn't surprise me if they go far. It really wouldn't surprise me if they miss the playoffs. I think regardless of the outcome, they're a very average ASL team this year.
I concur. I think you guys are. What's the saying?
The nail in the coffin.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
And there's pretty average team. So, well, I mean, great players, but nothing too special, I'd say.
When it comes to the pack overall, I think I got to give this team. I'm leaning between 2 or 3, but I think I'm going to go 3. I think it depends on Pissakrita and Chowdhury, how they work together. They're 2 ball dominant players. So if they can establish a good dynamic, I think this team can reach a lot of potentials. Obviously, the lack of big man and that big rebound and defensive presence is going to hold you back. But I don't see any other reasons to, and you guys all show up. So I think with that said, I'm going to give you guys a 3.
Yeah, I mean, God, Alex and Ian, terrifying duo. Arvin, had arguably the best regular season of his career last year. And Owen just is the perfect utility guy to complement them all. That's a 3 for me.
Yeah, I think we have a great team. You got to go with 3. I think Alex and Ian just just gonna do their thing. Definitely got to run some team practices. We don't want no Kyrie Irving and Luka situation at all. So we
Or
gotta
Russ and Harden. That was a mess too on the
yeah,
Rockets. Um,
figure things out. But
all
I think
right. Oh, sorry. Finish your
no, I know I was just gonna say I just think we're just gonna go pretty far. I think it's a great team.
All right, the Vikings. I think this is a textbook too. I think this is going to be an average to above average team. It's Colin Kirkpatrick, so the least you can do is be a first round exit in the playoffs. That is your bench, so or floor, I should say. So I'm going to say two.
I'm gonna give them a 1. I think they're a very well-rounded team in terms of each of their players bring a different aspect to the game. But I really think Colin is just gonna have to go Superman mode, carry this team if they're gonna accomplish anything in the league. And he's shown he's capable of doing that, but he doesn't have a choice. So I'm gonna go with a 1.
Well, I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with a 2. I was debating on a 3. I think they have a pretty. I mean, yeah, they might lack a little bit of shooting because mostly on Colin, but I just feel like they all can just play, like they all play differently and they all just like work with one another. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I think they're a solid team. Definitely make the playoffs, I think.
All right, now with the Pride. Again, I want to see how much Costa shows up. But if you call Stephen Shaw's team, regardless if he's playing with Pat Costa and Stephen Troy or three eighth graders, you got to give him a 3 if Stephen Shaw's in the equation. So,
Yeah, I mean that team won the championship twice in a row, and now they arguably got better. You have no choice but to give them a 3.
I gotta agree. Yeah, I mean them getting Costa is crazy on the offensive side. They did lose some points in the defense, but still think very very good team. Definitely above average.
all right. So we're going to close it off with this. As we talk into our next and final segment of the show, I'm going to add these up. But Mike, I told you at the beginning of the episode, you either have to give a way too early prediction or an ASL hot take. And Arvin, you're going to be up next. So Mike's going to go first, then you, and then I'll go. So Mike, take it away.
Way too early ASL prediction. I am going to say that the Vikings are going to miss the playoffs.
Oh,
I think, I mean, granted, I'm as a Billy, I'm in their conference, but I think obviously the East has the favorites in the Pride, but the West is just all those teams can come and battle. And the thing is every team in that conference has at least one defender that'll not necessarily neutralize Colin but what will contain him. I think AJ and George, they're both like excellent utility guys, but I don't know if they're going to give Colin the help he needs. I think Colin needs another scoring threat. I think he really I think he really needed Ian to drop to him as opposed to Alex Piscria taking him one pick of where he went. So my hot take is that the Vikings will not qualify for the 2023 ASL playoffs.
wow. I like it though. I mean, that's a great hot take.
Kind of both a hot take and a way too early prediction. 1.
Wow.
What can I say?
Uh, a hot take is people might disagree with me, but I feel like
Well, that's a good hot take.
the Hellkites are probably like a top 3 team
In the whole league.
whole league.
That is a hot take.
I think like I feel like the shooting will come, but their defense is really big. They're really strong. They're just like their presence is huge, and so I think they'll be able to get some wins, scrape by some wins. It might be some like maybe length games, but I don't know. I just feel like I think they're a really good team, so we'll see.
You guys want me to add like pluses and minuses based off like the grade within the range?
Uh,
Yeah.
you can just do that. You can just do that after the show for the Instagram post. But for now, I'll just hear your take and probably.
All right, I'll try to think of a few, but the one I'm going to say is the Galaxy will not see their first win until week 3. I don't know the schedule, but I think it's going to take time for them to like maneuver with each other. So I'm going to say the Galaxy will start the first 2 weeks 0-2.
I think that is a hot take because Connor and Matt have obviously never had an opportunity to play with each other in the ASL, but they are friends off the court, so they are going to come with natural chemistry. So I think they're going to start slow. I would consider that a hot take. I think they're going to come out of the gates running.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to ASL Analyst Hour. I'm going